Hey everybody, welcome back to another stream. Today is going to be some Underdog BBM 7 drafts. Today's thumbnail is little Justin Herbert and Madison Beer. Just not sure if you guys are aware, but he is away from the team. He's with her on tour, so they're kind of traveling throughout Europe right now as she tours around. Some are questioning if Justin Herbert even cares about Week 17. I know we do, because here we are drafting on May 26th. So I don't know. Haven't drafted a lot of Chargers. With that being said, let's get into a BBM 7 draft. We have done 55, so this is going to be number 56 for us. So pretty good pace so far. But as you guys know, we try to draft early here on this channel. Hopefully middle of July, end of July, we'll be done with all 150. Kind of alternate between Underdog and DraftKings. And after that, we will probably hit the high stakes streets for some big dogs, the monster millie maker on DraftKings, those kind of tournaments. So it's kind of the plan for the summer, but ideally draft early. Did draft a couple teams this morning. Been kind of doing some of the 2 quarterback builds lately. The last 4 drafts have all been 2 quarterback builds. But you know, alternate between 2 and 3. I haven't noticed too many big ADP changes. I know Bucky Irving, basically the same report as a couple weeks ago, just he had off-season surgery. Probably going to be back at some point in, you know, July training camp, I'm guessing. So nothing really new. Been drafting him kind of the end of the, or into the 5th round. So we'll continue to do that. And obviously we have a lot of Sean Tucker as well, so. But, you know, if he continues to drop further, you know, late 5th, 6th round, we'll definitely keep scooping him up because I'm not too worried about the injury at this point, at least. See how the market continues to take that news here. Still waiting on 6. Nothing else too different. I've noticed that Hampton seems to be kind of going like early 2nd round now, which is a little surprising. Chase Brown's moving up. A lot of earlier Bowers too. Kind of mid 2nd round. I've been drafting a little bit of McBride now, end of the 2nd. If I kind of early draft on the left side of the board. Breece Hall's continuing to rise up quickly. Still waiting on him to pass Jacobs. I keep drafting him over Jacobs, but see if that trend continues. Rashee Rice is slowly falling, but not too much. I think I've got him on DraftKings a couple times, like in the mid 30s. Same with Neighbors, I like those spots for them. London's been kind of rising just with Rice falling. But nothing too crazy right now. I mean, we are just in May, so not too much to move the needle at this point. Also noticed Calvin Ridley has been dropping pretty sharply. I've gotten him a couple times. Like this morning, I think I got him in the last round. So doesn't feel great to click him out every time, but I don't know, maybe because he's not at OTAs, people seem to be a little nervous about him. He's 31. Took a pay cut to stay with the team, so can't imagine he would not be the third receiver. It sounds like he might be, or Tate might be the X, so that would actually be good news for Ridley, but see how that pans out. I still like Carnell Tate a lot, and Wandell's fine as well. But I am liking the kind of elite tight end builds. Obviously, still targeting Mr. Ferguson a lot towards the end, and then it seems a little bit more difficult to get Sean Tucker now. What's his ADP at? It's at 195, so it's creeping up though. You kind of have to get him in like the 180s now. I've noticed, just with I guess Bucky. People still nervous about Bucky, so. Josh Allen continues to fall. I don't think I have any Josh Allen yet, but I think at mid to late 30s. Probably click him a couple times. I think it's tough to be the first person to draft a quarterback, just being kind of the least important position. I guess just most flat scoring. There's a big clump of really good quarterbacks. But I'm sure I'll click them a couple times throughout the summer. All right, filled the draft here. Let's see what we get. So we get the 7th pick. It's a good spot. Nice spot right in the middle. A lot of people I don't recognize, so that's always good to see. I like to mix up the drafts. Typically I'm a morning drafter, but we'll see what the late lobbies look like here. Or I guess not really that late, but late afternoon, early evening. I wonder if everybody's like maxed either contest yet, here or DraftKings. It's easier to see on DraftKings. You can kind of scroll through and just see, so many people and how many entries they've done. I see a couple people up in the like 115, 120s there. So not sure if that's the case here. I guess you could, someone could theoretically just do 150 slows, but definitely would not be very much fun. I'll probably do some slows maybe for the high stakes stuff. Those are kind of fun, but I think for these I prefer to just go with the 20-second clocks. All right, so I'm guessing the first 5 picks will go as usual. Probably, well, see how it goes. I kind of done a couple Jeffersons up here. I like those teams. Okay, JSN. So Jonathan Taylor goes at 5. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab Justin Jefferson here. Can set up a little Jettas and the Jets stack potentially. I don't know if I've done Jefferson with an elite tight end, so maybe we'll try to do Bowers or McBride here at 18. Maybe get Garrett Wilson at 31 or Breece Hall, but probably not going to be there at that point. And then start grabbing running backs down here. So CMC at 9 is a good pick for Johnny J. A lot of my Jefferson teams I like to grab, you guys know I do not like Kyler Murray very much, so I like to grab, oh wow, we have an early Jeremiah Love here with Ginty. I like to grab Jaden Daniels, kind of in the 66 range, just because I like that Vikings Washington game in week 16, so Just get a little different. Just, like I said, don't love Kyler. I don't think he's that great. And then, obviously, the good majority of Jefferson drafters are going to probably have Kyler. So just to differentiate there is a nice leverage spot, especially when you do correlate directly with a Week 16 spot and a guy that you actually like in Jaden. So we have early Nico as well here. Derrick Henry. So interesting. Let's go ahead and grab Bowers. Grab the elite tight end. Been liking these builds. You guys know I do like to hit tight end, the bucket of tight end pretty hard on my teams. Does give me good flexibility. I can just go Bowers and just grab Terrence Ferguson if I wanted to. I kind of like these 2-6-8-2 build. I know they were kind of the meta years ago, but it seems like people are kind of getting away from those these days. But they feel pretty good, especially when you have a Bowers and then Ferguson type. Jaden Daniels, if we can get him, we'll see. But yeah, we definitely want a jet at 31, whether it's Brees or Garrett Wilson, just to give us Week 17 with Jefferson. Still haven't seen that. A lot of people doing that. Surprising. I would think on paper, Jets Minnesota would be one of the top games. But seems like ADP hasn't shifted too much with the Week 17 schedule. So could grab Rice potentially at 31, but usually like to wait on him more to the late third. But I guess you can get Garrett Wilson sometimes at 42. It's pretty rare, but I've seen it happen. So Heartless grabs Taylor, Brown, and Hall. And then Rice goes right before us. So I think we will go ahead and pull up Garrett Wilson here. Like that start. Jefferson, Bowers, Wilson. A little different. I think I've ever seen Nico Collins go this early. So that's kind of interesting for BJ Kraft. Houston plays Jacksonville, Philly, and Green Bay. So not sure if he's working on any particular playoff stacks or just likes Nico. But honestly, it's like the same thing as pulling Garrett Wilson up here. Just, there's a cluster of guys, and, you can make the argument for Nico over London, Pickens, Neighbors, Brown. So definitely don't hate that. He was going 1-2 turn last year. I remember I would start a lot of teams like McConkey, Nico, and those teams didn't work out so well just because how the season went. Definitely need to grab a running back here. Javante's already gone. Broth grabs Kyron and Josh Allen. All right, so we'll go ahead and start with Scattaboo as our running back 1. Anomaly gets McConkey and Rice for a little Week 17 stack. Mike Evans at 44 to Heartless. So coming around to us in our next pick, we'll definitely probably grab another running back, like a Swift, Judkins, Bucky if he falls back to us, or Travion Montgomery potentially could be there. We'll see. I guess Bucky goes at 47 to Grinip Poe. Montgomery 48. So nothing too crazy here besides the kind of the Nico early reach there. Jeremiah Love early as well. Head of Achan. Haven't seen that one yet. Could just be stacking week 17 with Love and Genty. Could just be kind of like maybe he's just a big fan of the early draft capital archetype running back. Broth. So yeah, looks like Mr. Swift is still there. We'll probably grab him as our running back 2. He goes to Anomaly, so it's a good pick. Just grab Judkins there. Don't hate Judkins, don't love Judkins. I think he's fine. I mean, it's kind of an all-injured backfield, but not too worried about it. Or coming off an injury. I mean, Scadaboo says he's going to be ready week 1. We'll see what that means. Judkins, from his early OTA footage, looks pretty spry, so fine with that. Well, but definitely keep it in mind, just, maybe our running backs 3 and 4 might want to take, be smart with those picks, considering we have 2 guys that might start the year off kind of slow. Guess we could not take Jaden Daniels here, potentially. If Price comes back around, because Price is probably a good early season bet without Charbonnet, and then might fade down the stretch of the playoffs, or just might be really good. Who knows? So Lamar goes to 59. He grabs Price. We'll probably just grab our quarterback anyway here, and just 79. We can at least get Jalen Warren or Ramondre. I've seen RJ Harvey fall 90-ish, so can always wait on those guys rather than grab Chuba Hubbard. Don't love that. Go ahead and grab Jaden. Ooh, we got some breaking news here. This is pretty big, it seems. Ooh. So, Josh Jacobs has been arrested on 5 charges: battery, domestic abuse, criminal damage of property, disorderly conduct, strangulation, intimidation of a victim. Wow. Does not sound very good. So with that being said, let's go ahead and see who Mike Clay has as the Packers running back 2 here. So we have not really looked at that. I don't think I've drafted a Packers running back besides Jacobs. You always love to be in a draft when, breaking news comes out. So let's see. According to Mike Clay, he has Marshawn Lloyd and Chris Brooks, with Lloyd slightly ahead. All right. So maybe we grab a late Marshawn Lloyd. Something to keep an eye on. But definitely not good news for Jacobs. Very good news for a Breece Hall stan as myself, because I have a lot of Breece Hall over Jacobs. All right, so Ramondre goes 75. It's a good pick. I also like Jalen Hurts in the 7th round. I think that's a very good pick for Fish Mob. Don't even need to really stack him. There's a couple of late options that I like to do as well. So there's our cover boy Herbert going right before us. All right. So I think we'll go ahead and grab Mr. Pollard here. kind of what we need. Just another guy that can help absorb some of the maybe the early slow start from our two good running backs there. We don't really, we started out strong at tight end receiver, so we can kind of wait a little bit there. We also have our elite QB. So we'll see if we can get maybe like RJ Harvey to fall back around to us. That would be nice. Probably would grab Dowdle as well, just to kind of add another body. We'll see how in tune this room is with breaking news, because I'm sure, it hasn't hit Underdog yet, but I'm sure, sure someone is watching. I'm sure someone's aware, I should say, of the Jacobs bomb here live. I'm sure G-Man's not too happy. All right, so there goes Dowdle, but would rather have Harvey anyway, so hopefully see if Cash. Okay, so Cash grabs Harvey, so that's a good pick for him. So 1, 3, 2, 1. Don't really love Quorum here. Let's go ahead and grab Chris Godwin here. Add another receiver. Do you like him? Opens up, kind of Baker Mayfield. Potentially a couple rounds later here for us. We're still good at running back. Could potentially get Dobbins coming around as the other Denver guy. I don't really have much of Dobbins. Do like JCM too. Gainwell. Even pulling Gainwell up, I wouldn't hate, just to get a little Baker magic action going there. Do want more of Gainwell. I have a lot of Sean Tucker currently, so wouldn't mind more Gainwell shares. He actually fits this team pretty good. Just being a guy that, if Bucky does start off the year slow, or, doesn't even start the year, really. It starts the year on PUP or something. It's good for this team because, obviously we know Scattaboo and Judkins could potentially be slow starters. So pretty crazy about the Jacobs news. Sounds pretty bad. It's a lot of pretty bad accusations there. They're probably, there's some decent free agents that probably would, I'm guessing if he does get, suspended, I'm sure the Packers would probably bring somebody else in to compete, but I know Marshawn Lloyd wasn't the worst prospect, but he always gets hurt. He always pulls his hamstring. Let's take a look at him here. He was a 3rd round pick. It's like a Jerick McKinnon-ish draft player comp. And then Chris Brooks, when was he? I don't even remember when he was drafted. Um, 2023. So, guessing they'll probably bring somebody in, but definitely take one of those guys maybe as a last pick, just to see if everybody's paying attention. All right, so back to us here. Dobbins and Quorum go. Don't want Chris Rodriguez. Josh Downs. Yeah, let's go ahead and grab Josh Downs. He's fine. He fits in with the Judkins bet there with week 17, so there's plenty of other running backs we can grab coming around. We don't necessarily need Baker on this team either, so I've seen Baker fall to 127 at times. But we start with Jaden. We can kind of wait a bit. We also still have Kyler as a faller, but he never really falls. He goes to Johnny unstacked, and then we always have good old Gino Mendoza. But yeah, running back or receiver room looks good so far to start. We have Jefferson, Wilson, Godwin, and Downs like that. I think with the Jacobs news, I'd like to make this probably like a 2-6-8-2 team, just so we can kind of tack on another late running back. Would be kind of nice. So I think we're gonna do Gainwell here if he falls to us. Get his 2 Tampa pieces. We'll see if so he does. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab Kenneth Gainwell. Let's see where the Tampa drafters are. So Bucky guy already has 3 quarterbacks. I have Godwin. So where's Ibuka? Ibuka's to my right, so there's a decent chance that Baker comes back to us at 127. Probably not, but we'll see. I mean, everybody on our left already has a quarterback, so Baker does have a lot of backstack potential, but we'll see what the room wants to do here. But like I said, we don't have to. Just be kind of a luxury to get Baker coming around, but we don't necessarily need it. I always like to start with like a 1-4-4-1, kind of balanced. I'm glad we got the elite tight end though out of the way, because we will have to just figure out when to take Terrence Ferguson as usual. Our Stafford drafter is over here, and he has no tight ends, so probably 186 Terrence Ferguson should work. Also fits in with our Tampa stuff, so perfect. It's pretty early. Diggs 122. We'll see where he signs. There goes Baker to the Fish Mob. He guessing just grabs him for the week 17 correlation. Kelsey goes. Like to get Rachaad White here. Yeah, let's go ahead and grab Rachaad White. I think he's a nice stack with Jaden. Should be the receiving back there. Just another kind of body to help us get through potentially the early season slow start from our two running back one, running back twos. Still feel good about our receiver room, tight end. Do need to find our second quarterback at some point, but pretty easy to do on Underdog. Let's see what we're coming up to. Cam Ward is an option. Go along with Pollard. Wouldn't mind that. Daniel Jones with Downs. Love that one. And then, like I said, I want to make this a 2-6-8-2 team. So probably just gonna grab Cam Ward. I think he's a pretty good second quarterback. Gives us, Ridley. Like I said, been drafting him kind of. He's been going later and later, so I'm fine with that. So there goes Likely. I guess Goddard would be fine, but we're gonna grab Terrence Ferguson later anyway. So let's go ahead and just grab Ward here. Also could, if we do get sniped on Ferguson, it does open the door for Gunnar Helm, who, would be a fine second tight end with Bowers as well. Was there any Tennessee? Let's see. Carnell Tate went. Already had 2 quarterbacks, and then where's the one? The Wandale guy had 2 quarterbacks. So that's pretty quarterback hungry room. Cash just has Burrow so far. I never quite understand the just Burrow drafter, but I guess he does have Henry with week 17. Just not really a guy that really want to backstack. At least I don't, but maybe he likes Yoshivas or Mike Gesicki potentially. Wow, that's an early Ted Hurst. I think it's the earliest I've ever seen Ted Hurst go. 144. It's kind of crazy. Ahead of McMillan too. That's Savage is getting his guys out here. So we're pretty good at running back. We'll probably wait until maybe a Packer, like a Marshawn Lloyd. Because, yeah, we don't want Sean Tucker and Gainwell, so it's kind of perfect there. So Chig already goes, so we're not really worried about him. So I guess we'll start hitting receivers here. I wouldn't mind just like locking in Antonio Williams here because he tends to get sniped sometimes. Yeah, let's go ahead and lock him up. Yeah, because we don't really want Jennings and Jefferson, so let's go ahead and grab Antonio Williams. We'll give Jaden a pass catcher. Also, I've been seeing Brandon Ayuk go in the final round sometimes, so haven't been drafting too much of him, but I did draft him at I think like 216 this morning, just as like a dart throw pick, and do like him a little bit on Jaden teams because it seems like he does want to play with Jaden, and at some point the 49ers are going to have to figure out, you know, cut him or trade him, whatever they're planning to do with him. So see how that plays out. So keeping an eye on Fish Mob here. I can't imagine he would take Ferguson at 165 or 172. So I think we're good to just keep grabbing receivers and then hit Ferguson at 186. Daniel Jones goes at 159. He could have been an option for us at 162, but definitely would take Trey Tucker. Just load up on another Vegas receiver. Just hit 2 of our players' buys, but not too worried about that. Let's grab Tucker. All right, so definitely want Ridley on this team. Like I said, he's been easier and easier to get. Might just grab him at 175. Just because we're not really the opportunity cost of. I mean, I guess we could take Mendoza as a quarterback 3. Just don't know if this team really needs that. Be nice to have Tucker Bowers with Mendoza, but I feel pretty good about Jaden and Ward. Obviously, this is a DraftKings 20 round team. I think it would make more sense, but I think in 18 rounds, kind of how we're trying to build this team. Like we said 2-6, 8-2 is kind of what we wanted to shoot for. Obviously, Mendoza just keeps on falling. Be a different story, but I think at 175, I'm fine to just. I'd even grab Tesla here. Probably will, because like I said, people have not been very excited to draft Calvin Ridley. Let me go ahead and grab Tesla. Definitely prefer him on this underdog just because of, you know, he's kind of a touchdown or bust type player, but he does correlate with Jefferson in week 15. And just, you know, like, want to get a piece of Detroit whenever I can. So 2571, we're going to go ahead and grab, hopefully, Terrence Ferguson here at 186. And then there goes Ridley. I guess we'll see if we need to grab Marshawn Lloyd at 199 or what we want to do there. Probably makes sense because I'm guessing if anybody else is, you know, tracking the news, they'll probably maybe wait till the final round to take him. So there's probably not another Titan receiver that we would be interested in, but that's okay. Don't really have to stack Ward with a receiver. Could just, you know, have him with Pollard, which is fine. Mendoza's also still there. Could also just end the receiver room at, well, I guess Gunnar Helm goes, so, and Mendoza go, so kind of takes away any thoughts there. We'll just go ahead and grab Ferguson. So that's gonna be our tight end 2. Good old Terrence Ferguson. He fits in with our Godwin bet as well. Just love Terrence Ferguson, drafting him kind of on every team, just getting really getting kind of like year 2 McBride, year 2 Tucker Kraft vibes, just with him, kind of how he, you know, started the year, or, you know, got injured partly for the year, but just had some big plays, looked really good. There's a lot of rumors of Diggs potentially landing in LA, and, you know, not really like a cap guru or anything for teams, but could see. I know Colby Parkinson and Higbee have pretty decent sized contracts, so if they were to sign Diggs, could move on from one of those tight ends, I'm sure, in one way or another, to make up some cap room for a Diggs signing. But expect Terrence Ferguson to be at some point the tight end 1 for them. Or if he just kind of plays his role last year. He kind of almost played like the role I was hoping for Tutu Atwell as a Tutu Atwell drafter pretty heavily last year. I think I had like 60 or 70% of Matthew Stafford last year in like the 160s. So naturally I was getting a lot of Tutu Atwell, and they went ahead and just kind of revolutionized the league and just ran a bunch of 13 personnel. But Terrence Ferguson was kind of like the Tutu Atwell role of a tight end, just down the field, kind of high ADOT stuff, which is, you know, we don't see at tight end very often, so do like that. And then, you know, obviously we already have Bauer, so just give us some upside here and there and call it a day. Looks like Chris Brooks goes to Fish Mob, so he is listening to the news. We're gonna go ahead and grab Marshawn Lloyd just because I think he's a better talent than Brooks anyway, so lock up another running back. Marshawn Lloyd was not on my radar at all, but here we are. Hopefully the hamstrings are okay. He seems to always pull his hamstring every year. So I guess we can kind of do whatever with this last pick. I know we penciled in another receiver, but I guess the question is, who would we take? Gino's gone. Malachi Fields would probably fit this team. The Giants are playing Cleveland, Detroit, and Dallas, so correlates with Scadaboo as well as a teammate pairing. Be fine with that click. Cooper Kupp, I think, is fine as well. Another body in that room. Kind of got a not so great report on Horton, so it makes me like Cup a little bit more, just because it sounds like Horton might take a little bit more time to be ready. Let's go ahead and grab Malachi Fields. I think we have some good bodies here. Tesla, Tucker, Downs, Godwin, Wilson, and Jefferson. I think 2 rookie upside swings is nice. Fields and Williams. All right. So we got Lloyd. A little bit of a breaking news pick. It's the first time I've seen Trevor Etienne drafted on Underdog, so interesting. We'll see the last couple here, and then we'll recap the team. I do like Christian Kirk as well as a final pick. I think that's a good pick by Fish Mob. Sean Tucker at 204, also a nice pick. All right, so let's recap this one here. So we will have a kind of what we said earlier, kind of getting more into these 2682 builds, just because it seems like this was kind of the meta maybe a year or two ago, and it seems like no one's really building this way anymore. A lot of 3 QBs, a lot of 7 receivers, a lot of 3 tight ends. So I kind of want to lean more into like 1 elite quarterback, 1 elite tight end, kind of spreading out more bodies at running back and receiver. So we got Jaden Daniels, Cam Ward as our quarterbacks. We got Scatabo, Quinshon Judkins, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Gainwell, Rashad White, and Marshawn Lloyd. Lloyd being the breaking news beneficiary in the draft. We went ahead and grabbed a little Week 17 Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Chris Godwin, Josh Downs, Antonio Williams, Trey Tucker, Isaac Tesla, Malachi Fields, and then we have Brock Bowers and Terrence Ferguson. So a lot of correlation there. Kind of all the weeks we hit on. So very happy with that team. That is a nice one. All right. That's a good start there. So let's go ahead and check Twitter. Let's see what's going on with this Jacobs news. So Derwin James signs a 3-year big extension with the Chargers. So Jacobs was booked into jail on 5 charges, so that definitely doesn't sound good. Looks like the Carolina Panthers practiced today in the pouring rain. Big news. I guess while we do this, we can go ahead and hop in another draft. So waiting on 8 people. Looks like Mahomes is throwing some passes in OTAs with a big old brace on. Looks pretty good. So Jacobs vehemently denies the allegations per his attorneys. Okay, so we'll see how that plays out. I mean, even if he doesn't get charged on anything, and charge dismissed, could be potentially player conduct. Who knows? Doesn't sound good. For sure. So Torrey Horton says that he could return end of spring with the shin. It's a little concerning. I guess I figured he would be kind of fully past the injury at this point. Chance he could return end of spring. So we'll see. Still, you know, doesn't change too much on Troy Horton, but thought it was interesting to see that he still isn't fully healthy. Not quite yet. So I guess we'll see. There's somebody I follow on Twitter, I think Drew Davenport, who usually does like kind of fantasy legal stuff. So we'll see what he has to say about Mr. Jacobs. But I think for now, we can not really be drafting him, especially at current ADP. That's for sure. I guess we'll see. You know, the news popped live. We'll see what happens kind of in the first draft after the news. Obviously, a lot of people probably have no idea that even happened. So, not everybody lives on Twitter as much as we all do as best ball enthusiasts. All right, so we got another draft. Get the third hole. Organized Gen Wax. Drafted against Gen Wax a couple times. Tanner Tolbert. Drafted against him a couple times in the high stakes streets. Now he's a Chiefs fan, so we'll see where he potentially picks Rashee Rice. Yeah, the 3 hole's a good spot. Definitely, probably just grab Chase there. Pretty standard start. It's definitely an interesting spot because, you know, obviously Jacobs kind of goes anywhere in this range. So we'll see how close people are paying attention to, you know, news updates. I always like to hop in a draft, you know, right when something breaks, just to see what, you know, just catch people off guard. Maybe they're not paying attention. Go ahead and grab Chase. So Cincinnati playoffs, they are going to play Carolina, Indianapolis, and Baltimore. There's a couple of late Baltimore guys that we like. Jacoby Lane, Bateman. Oh, so we got JSN ahead of Puka. Don't see that too often. Yeah, a couple of Ravens that we might be interested in round 18. Also, you know, potentially maybe a Lamar team. Don't mind that with Chase kind of as a bring back. We'll probably grab Marshawn Lloyd again. So St. Brown at 11. That's pretty good value on him for Emder. Also, sets him up for potentially a bear down here at 38 if he wants to do a little bring back. Definitely take a elite tight end again if we can. I'm guessing that McBride would probably be here. Maybe grab Breece Hall at 27. Or Bowers. I mean, we'll see if Bowers is here, but probably not. All right, so Gen Wax grabs Bowers. We're gonna go ahead and grab McBride. Stick with the elite tight ends to start. I think it's the best way to kind of build that 2-6-8-2, which we're kind of coming around to a little bit. I think Breece Hall is gonna be my pick here at 27 if he's available. See if anybody grabs Jacobs. I was kind of grabbing Hall ahead of Jacobs anyway, so not the worst news that could have come out for me. All right, so Pickens, London, and Nico go. We'll see what Ravener, he grabs Javante. It's a little Dallas setup. Go ahead and grab Breece here. Got the start that we were looking for. We'll see if anyone's snoozing on Jacobs. I'm trying to think where I would draft Jacobs at this point. Just not really knowing anything. You know, I guess severity and all that. Just all right. So Tanner Tolbert grabs him at 29. Definitely wouldn't have grabbed him there, but you know, if he was still here at 46, probably would have just done it. But I was assuming someone would have grabbed him before then, but definitely doesn't sound good, like I said. But he could just be completely innocent and someone's trying to smear his name a little bit, but all I know is NFL domestic violence never a good thing, even if it's just a allegation. Also not a legal expert, so you got Rice at 34. That's a pretty good pick on him. I do usually draft Rice if he falls to this range. So I think since we have been, you know, kind of doing this 2-6-8-2 build, I think we will kind of target Lamar here at 51. Just so we can get an elite, and then obviously Ferguson. Save him for the end. Yeah, just get a bunch of running backs and receivers in between. I wish Flowers would be a little bit of a faller at times, but he's pretty consistently going in this early fourth round. See Josh Allen again at the mid 30s. Got Showhound setting up a McConkey Walker week 17 stack. Jalen Waddle at 43, pretty early. Haven't drafted a lot of Jalen Waddle. Haven't drafted a lot of Denver in general. A little bit of Harvey, but other than that, not too into the Denver guys. So Montgomery at 45. So we can kind of do whatever we want here. Let's go ahead and grab Burden here. I think Burden at 46 is a nice pick. We also could see if JMO will... No, he does not. But I was going to say, if JMO sometimes comes back around, we could forget Jackson and set up maybe week 17 with that. We also, since we have Burden, could push and try to get Caleb coming around. Which I think we will, because Swift and Price went and Scattaboo's still here, so You guys know I love Scadaboo. I'm gonna go ahead and grab him for sure. 51 is a good pick. So Scadaboo and Breece Hall is a nice start. Burden, Chase, and McBride. Love that. So yeah, I mean, that's why I kind of don't reach on Lamar too often there. It's just hard to pass on Scadaboo falling there. Especially when we can just get another really good, elite quarterback here at 70, usually. See if any new Jacobs reports at all. So 11 and 55 is a really good pick as well for Showhound. It's a good start. Take consider him at 51. If Scadaboo was already gone, I probably would have taken Loveland. Just closed out an elite tight end room and then set up a double for Caleb, but just didn't want to pass on Scadaboo there. Also, Lamar has not been drafted yet, but he probably goes here to I love 1776. Yep, he does. It's a good fall on Lamar. After Jaden, Drake May goes to Willie Bill, unstacked. Definitely would take Caleb on our team. Bucky Irving, another nice fall on him, 65. I would have been interested in that as well. We also have Burrow as well. I always forget about Burrow because I never take Burrow ahead of ADP, so I just almost forget all about him because one of these drafters always seems to take him unstacked, but definitely take him as well. So Caleb goes, so definitely would take Joey here, but I'm sure one of these two we'll just take him unstacked as usual. Hertz goes to Tanner Tolbert. He's setting up an Evans stack. Week 17 stack. Chuba Hubbard, 69. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and grab Burrow. Nice start here. So 1-2-2-1, pretty balanced. Elite tight end. Joe Burrow, consider elite quarterback. Doesn't have the rushing upside as some of the other guys do, but if he throws for 4 touchdowns in a game, you can bet Chase has probably got at least 2 of those. So very condensed offense, which is nice. Prescott at 71, Pierce, Metcalf. So it's a nice fall on Warren. Let's go ahead and grab Parker Washington here. I think Parker Washington's pretty good. I like Jacksonville in general. They get Houston, Dallas, and Washington in the playoffs, so very nice. I mean, typically Trevor doesn't fall in drafts, but I guess the Brian Thomas drafter does have Jaden, so who knows? I would have also grabbed Warren there. I do like him kind of in this mid-70s range. And I don't even mind him with McBride. I actually did a draft this morning with McBride and Warren, so that's the only reason that I did not do it this time. I just didn't want to do that again. Don't want to get too many of the same combos, especially, Warren being a fringe elite tight end can just kind of wait on that. But it seems like a pretty hating tight end room. So we've already seen Loveland fall pretty good. We've seen Warren fall. 78 Kraft, pretty normal. So we'll see if we can get Lawrence to come back around, but not really expecting it to happen. Wouldn't hate Brock Purdy as a quarterback too either. Could grab Kittle, just kind of end the room with McBride and Kittle. Would be kind of nice combo. Just kind of see what the room gives us here. Probably going to wait on, well, we only have 2 running backs, and one of them is Scatterboo, so we probably should take a running back with one of these picks. So I guess we won't take Purdy here. Corum goes. Definitely take Trevor. I'm not going to pass on Trevor if he is here. Which he is. That's nice. So, yeah, go ahead and lock up our quarterback room with Trevor Lawrence. Joe Burrow, like that. Got Parker. So, could just double Trevor up if we wanted to. And maybe grab 2 running backs coming around the next turn. That's probably what we'll do. Especially because we know... there's a good chance that a Washington running back will be coming back around, and that is nice week 17 correlation with Jacksonville. So yeah, I think doubling up Lawrence with Myers makes a lot of sense. Got Burden, Chase, McBride, Hall, and Scatterboo. So yeah, very nice start. So Stafford goes. So yeah, let's go ahead and grab Jacoby. Let's lock in a double stack. Got a 2-2-4-1. So we know we want more running back bodies. But we're setting this up perfectly for a 2-6-8-2 again. We should have a Washington guy come back around. Maybe Gainwell again would be nice. Tanner Tolbert is got a little San Francisco Philly going on. Frankie G is still without a quarterback. He has Stroud, Atlanta, maybe a falling Jared Goff, Rodgers, Danny Dimes. He's got a couple late options. So we'll probably just hit running back pretty hard here in the next 3 or so picks because we feel good about our receiver room. Obviously, we like McBride, and our quarterbacks are locked up. So, also, with Burrow, don't hate like Mike Gesicki as a tight end too instead of Ferguson, but we always prefer Ferguson for the upside. Love to get Gainwell again as a correlation with Ferguson as well, and just kind of with the Bucky, news. But a lot of people have been grabbing him earlier on the early side, but we can get Sean Tucker as well. But now that we kind of have Marshawn Lloyd on the radar as well, we might see what this room does with that as well. Haven't drafted much Chris Rodriguez. I don't think he's really much of a receiving back, so don't really love him paired with Trevor. Rashad White goes to Disturbed, so that kind of sucks, but, you know, JCM definitely would take. Also, Jonathan Brooks would be a fine pick here. He goes to Tanner Tolbert, so quickly running out of options. Hopefully we can get JCM at least as a bring back. See what Gen Wax does. Grabs Higgins, so definitely grab a lot of quarterbacks falling here as well. Kind of something to keep an eye on, but we already saw that with Lawrence, so maybe this room is kind of anti. Everyone's kind of waiting for quarterbacks, it seems. Ravner's just biting them all up. He has Prescott, Stafford, and Bo, and I know Frankie doesn't have a quarterback yet, so see if they rip off a couple here. But we get our third running back. Also a nice Week 17 correlation play. So Breece Hall, Scottaboo, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Okay, good. I was going to say Chris Rodriguez. Still thinking about them, but definitely grab Jordan Mason. I think he'd be a fine fourth running back for this squad. Don't have a lot of exposure, but, you know, Minnesota plays Washington and the Jets. Week 16, Week 17, and we already have some Commanders. We have Breece Hall. So, yeah, let's go ahead and lock up Jordan Mason as our RB4. So, kind of building this similar 2-4-4-1 that we like to do. Chase McBride, Breece Hall, Burden, Scottaboo, Joe Burrow, Parker Washington, Trevor Lawrence, Jacoby Myers, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and Jordan Mason. Good start. And as the last team, we're going to shoot for a 2-6-8-2. Check in on our Stafford drafter, which is Ravner. He has started with Mark Andrews, so another guy that's probably going to be eyeing Terrence Ferguson. So, I'm guessing we can get Ferg at 190. Right ahead of Ravner, so I think that's where we'll target him. We also pencil in, with Chase and Burrow, we'll pencil in one of the kind of dart throw Ravens guys here at 214. Maybe Jacoby Lane, Rashad Bateman, maybe Surratt, who knows. And then probably go Marshawn Lloyd again at 195 if he's available. Wow, Kalen Black at 131 to Emder. Not sure if he timed out or if he just has very high conviction on Kalen being the RB2 there. He's got a 1-4-5-1 with Josh Allen and George Kittle, so it's a lot of San Francisco guys. Stribling as well, really early, so. I guess he has Barkley. Maybe he's just setting up a massive Week 17 game. Should mean we get some good value here coming around with these kind of little crazy picks. Let's see what we're looking for coming around. We don't need any more quarterbacks. Probably just pepper some of these running backs here. Maybe Jonah Coleman, Keaton Mitchell, potentially. Don't love all this receiver range. Kelsey at 139 is a good pick for Disturbed. Right ahead of Tanner Tolbert, too. I know Tanner's a big Chiefs fan, so probably stings a little bit. Okay, Darnold goes. The guy who I don't have very much of at all is Khalil Shakir, but I do think at 142 there's a nice fall on Khalil there. Do have a lot of week 7 buys developing here, but it's all right. Not too worried about it. We're gonna have 8 receivers here for sure. So nice fall on Shakir. It's a nice thing about, you know, the 2-6-8-2 builds is kind of already know who we want as our second tight end. So we're done at quarterback, so we can just kind of take falling, you know, value running backs, receivers. Charbonnet at 146. I think Jonah Coleman probably has the most upside. Yeah, let's grab Jonah Coleman. Could be, you know, running back 3 for most of the year, but you know, Dobbins injured most of his career, and then RJ Harvey, you know, probably gonna retain his kind of mostly passing down role. So injury to JK, you know, could definitely open Coleman up for kind of mixing into those early down roles or role there. I guess Harvey didn't really play on third downs either. It's kind of a weird rotation there in Denver. Just getting a body really in that room. Not a lot of conviction on that spot. But 147. This room, I think it's a fine pick. Just for some depth. We can stop there. We can stop there for now. We'll get either Sean Tucker or Marshawn Lloyd. See where he settles with the news to Jacobs. Also a lot of free agents. A lot of dominoes that need to fall somewhere, like Najee Harris. Who else? James Conner. Joe Mixon, I guess, if he's going to play football anymore. Could sign somewhere. Trey Benson. Either Benson or Connor are definitely going to be, I guess, cut or traded, or well, just released. Kareem Hunt's always lurking. Be a lot of shakeup between now and August, obviously. So, but you know, the Denver drafted Jonah Coleman, so I don't think he was that high. Let me see. But you know, it's a 4th round pick. Like I said, he's a body. He's a Denver backfield body. We'll see how it shakes out. All right, so quickly coming back over to us here. Keaton Mitchell goes. Probably looking at receiver here. Don't love Debo. Don't want to grab too much Antonio Williams either. Let's go ahead and grab Flournoy on this team. I think he's fine. Kind of contingent guy. Fits in with Scattaboo on week 17, so probably grab another receiver and then try to get Ferguson at 190. Ravner grabs Hawkinson, so I'm guessing he's setting up. Yeah, I guess Ferguson, or maybe he's a Colby Parkinson guy, but we're gonna be taking Ferguson if he's available at 190. So Ridley goes 169. I guess at 171 I would take Williams again. And he goes, okay. Could also just lock in Brian Robinson. Atlanta. Let's grab Ted Hurst. We know, we know we want to go next pick. So if we do get Ferguson there, that gives us a little Tampa Bay correlation. Do want more Ted Hurst. I think one of the Tampa guys is going to be a good pick this year. Ibuka, still think he's a little overpriced for the player he is, but do you think Godwin, Hurst, or McMillan, one of those guys, will pay off their price tag? I mean, it's a good receiver room for sure, and then running back room is, as long as Scadaboo's healthy, will be fine, but it's a little sketchy. But definitely some decent, 3 guys that could be the RB1, the respective offenses. Probably a guy that has probably a 70% chance, maybe 50% chance for Mason, and then maybe like 20-30% chance for Jonah Coleman. So obviously the ADP is going to dictate the decreasing odds of that, but injuries happen, so I guess we'll see if Sean Tucker is still lurking. Looks like he is. Also, Marshawn Lloyd will be lurking as well. Probably grab him at 195 just to, we have a lot of Sean Tucker early. We already have Ted Hurst, so we kind of know what we want to do the last 3 picks here, because like I said before, unless there's some dramatic faller at the end, we'll probably just lock in one of those Ravens down here as a Cincy bring back. Kind of have every other game covered. Guess we could grab a Dolphin for Shakir, but only have to do that. Interesting to see what happens with Tyreek Hill. He's been kind of going undrafted, or later in the drafts, undrafted a couple times I've seen, so people are kind of not the best reports on him coming out yet. Sounds like he's going to be pretty slow to start the year. If he does sign somewhere, probably later in the year will be fantasy relevant. So go ahead and grab Terrence Ferguson here. I'm sure Ravner will not be too happy about that. We'll see if maybe he was a Colby Parkinson guy all along, or maybe he just feels good about Andrews and Hawkinson as his tight ends. We're going to go ahead and grab Marshawn Lloyd with our next pick. Rodgers at 192. It's pretty good. Frankie G only has 3 running backs. It's Gibbs, Swift, Chris Rodriguez, and then now Katron Allen. So very hyper fragile team, or running back room. So Ravner grabs Freiermuth. Okay. I'm going to pass on Tucker on this team and grab Marshawn Lloyd as our running back 6. We'll just try to get a little early on the news, see how the whole ADP shakes out, but 17th, 18th round, really doesn't matter who, if they're drafted. I mean, obviously you want guys that are undrafted. I think Marshawn Lloyd, I don't think has been drafted at all, especially on Underdog with only 18 rounds. So, it's a lot of, I guess 10%ish of the field has not really drafted this guy yet. So that's valuable, especially if he, Packers just roll with him and Brooks if Jacobs does face a suspension. But we'll see. See how it plays out. See how serious. Very early. All right, so we're done with running back. Feel good about tight end. We feel good about quarterback. So we can go ahead and set up one of the Ravens. I don't have any Surratt. Have a good amount of Bateman. Jacoby Lane. A little bit as well, so. Normally one of them gets drafted in the final round. I'm sure a Lamar drafter might be interested. I guess he already has Flowers, so we'll see if he's interested in like a double. Who he chooses. So Surratt goes to Emder, so one of our options is gone. It's okay. Probably wasn't my first option anyway. Probably Lane is my first option just because he's never drafted. So I love grabbing Mooney. Like I said, I have a good amount of Bateman in this 18th round, so I think Lane is going to be my pick. Looks pretty good. OTAs. He's going to kind of be competing with Bateman, I think, on the outside. It looks like early on. And then Surratt probably plays more in the slot, or who knows. It's kind of how I see it playing out. So Tanner Tolbert went 2-5-7-4. Stowers, Okonkwo, Otten, and Goddard. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab Mr. Jacoby Lane here. We'll bring back for week 17. Undrafted player, so do like those guys to preferably be undrafted on Underdog. But, you know, Bateman's also pretty rarely drafted as well. So Frankie grabs Najee Harris. I have seen him drafted on DraftKings, but not too often on Underdog, so that's a pretty good pick. Alright, so let's go ahead and recap the team here. We got our 2-6-8-2 build. We went elite quarterback, elite tight end, and Terrence Ferguson. So McBride and Ferguson. We have Burrow and Lawrence, so very strong at QB. Breece Hall, Cam Scattaboo, Corey Krosky-Merritt, Jordan Mason, Jonah Coleman, and Marshawn Lloyd. And then at receiver, we have Jamar Chase, Luther Burden, Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers double with Lawrence. We have Khalil Shakir as a faller. Nice ADP on him. Ryan Flournoy, kind of a bring back with Scattaboo. Ted Hurst, a little correlation with Ferguson, and then Jacoby Lane correlating a little bit with Chase and Burrow. So, good team. Happy with the build. Was able to maybe capitalize on some breaking news potentially if Jacobs does get suspended. We'll see, you know, how the Packers play that situation if Marshawn Lloyd or Chris Brooks get some cracks at some carries. We'll see. But yeah, two good teams here on stream, so happy how those went. So yeah, we'll go ahead and call it a stream right here. Appreciate anyone for watching and hope everybody has a good evening. Thank you.